Good morning.
Welcome back to another episode, season 2, episode 2.
You didn't say it, Lori.
Another week, another episode.
Thank you.
This week's episode is a little bit of a different topic.
Yes, it's not like our usual content, but I do think okay, let me just jump right in with the topic.
Don't we?
Yeah, exactly. So today we're chatting about the art of letting go and how to deal with heartbreak or setbacks or anything in your life that kind of just breaks you down.
Yes.
Or really disappoints you. Any type of failure, any type of disappointment, any type of heartbreak.
Yeah.
And we kind of just want to jump into how we have dealt with those situations.
Yeah. And experiences we've gone through.
Yeah.
I think heartbreak, most commonly known around love and relationships, but your heart can be broken in a bunch of things in life. There's a lot of circumstances. It can be friendships even. It can be things that failed. Yeah. Can be 100%. Heartbreaking.
And I think also even there's so much heartbreak in growth at the same time, and it sounds really depressing when I say it that way, but let's say moving on from a specific job to the next one, that is really I don't know about you guys, but for me that it broke my heart a little bit. Even leveling up and letting go of certain things that don't serve you anymore, that's heartbreaking. It's not just based on relationships and love. I think it's something that I think heartbreaks are not spoken about enough.
Yeah.
Because every time that I've gone through a breakup or a heartbreak or whatever, you literally just feel so alone. And then I spoke to someone the other day who went through one of the most painful breakups that they've ever been through, and they were like, why is this so hard? People don't speak about how hard this is. Or am I crazy? And I was like, no, you're not crazy.
You're not crazy. It does.
Literally, we just don't speak about how hard heartbreaks are at the end of the day. So I think it is quite cool to kind of just touch on it every now and then. Yes. And just
this is reopen that conversation.
Yeah, and we're not trying to reopen wounds here. But I do think there's a lot of growth that comes from setbacks, and they come from heartbreak, and they come from relationships ending or any type of failure.
Yes. So
that's kind of the perspective that we're coming from. Yeah.
And just to preface the conversation, we are both very much healed from previous relationships specifically. And I was like, oh, no, I'm
Speak
joking.
For yourself,
we are better off. So just prefacing that conversation, no hate.
I love it so much. Yes, that's so true. We're just coming with our personal stories. We want to be vulnerable with you guys and just be open about 100%. Shit that's happened to us. And yeah.
Okay. I think we can carry on in this conversation. So let's just talk about why we feel this topic is important to talk about. Why we think it's important to share and just, open this discussion. And I think one of the big motivations for us to share it is everyone goes through this at some point in your life, whether it is through relationship, through failures, through loss, through anything, but experiencing loss, experiencing heartbreak, and even failing actually is a universal feeling.
Yeah.
It's a universal thing. It's somewhere in your life you're going to go through it.
And like you said, it's not just heartbreak, it's loss as well. It's the loss of loved ones. It's the loss of a career path. It's the loss of... It could be anything. It's such a universal thing, and we all go through these pivots and these painful moments, and no one ever speaks about it, which is so sad.
It is sad. And I think the degree of loss and failure and whatever is different in everyone's life. Even I was in less relationships before I got married than, for example, Danelle was, or my sisters were. No way. I didn't go through these big dramatic heartbreaks necessarily. To me, in the time, it did seem like massive heartbreaks because that was in my little world. But on a scale between different people's experiences, it definitely wasn't so dramatic. Yeah,
but you also can't can't compare your experience to someone else's because that's what you've experienced.
Thank you and for validating my feelings.
Because you get what I'm saying. That's what you've experienced. Yes. So that was the end of your world at that point in time. Then I think a very big thing is society almost glorifies the idea of like getting over things quickly, like rush, just get over it, just move on, just get your next like girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever,
job or whatever.
Yeah, your next job. Let's just like get over it. It's like, why are you being so dramatic, type of thing. And I get that to an extent, is like your life moves on and you can't just like wallow in that pain. Like you have to grieve and move, if that makes sense. And I'm not trying to invalidate anything. I just mean like you can't just
forever sit in that job.
Exactly. And I think at some point in time you kind of like need to take your power back to an extent. But at the end of the day, healing isn't linear and it's like gonna be up and down.
Yeah, definitely.
Some days are gonna be hard, some days are gonna be easier, and like that's okay.
Exactly. And people deal with it differently. Like sometimes, for example, I just move on, like I ignore the problem and I just like go ahead, but it catches up with you later on as well. So
I'm the opposite. I'm like, feel all my emotions right now, and then I'll get over it in like 2 weeks.
I'm total opposite. I should probably take a note out of your book because it catches up with you. So sometimes it can take up to like a year or year and a half for you, that grieving process to end, just because you aren't dealing with it. That makes sense.
And I think like at the end of the day, every experience will be different. It's like me grieving, moving on from corporate, for example. I mean, that was my choice. That was what I wanted. That's what I like chased. And I was still grieving that space for such a long time and that experience for such a long time. Even in certain relationships took me like 2 months to get over. And then other relationships took me like years, like a year. Okay, the longest that it's taken me to get over someone was a year. But at the end of the day, like every experience will be different. And some relationships or setbacks or failures or losses are going to take longer than others, and that's okay. And like just have grace with yourself throughout that process. The only good thing about the fact that no one kind of speaks about like healing and breakups and the pain that comes with that, and I'm not saying that's a good thing, but it is such a personal journey, and the fact that there's no timeline that's set to how long it's supposed to take. Just like take that time and heal through whatever you need to go through, and just have grace with yourself, because at the end of the day, it's your journey.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And no one else can tell you what to do, because they haven't experienced what you've experienced, right?
And letting go of anything, of future plans with a person, of future ideas with a career or whatever, is a skill. Like that, actually letting go of that dream and whatever that picture looked like is a skill you need to learn.
I think as a kid, like as soon as you lose that first thing, like it literally feels like the world is ending. Like that is what your world was, and it's going away. It's gone.
It's gone.
And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to the fact that like in that moment, it kind of feels like this is the end of your world. Like you don't want to move on. Like it's just like, no, I'm done.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Where I think like throughout the years, it kind of gets, it sounds so sad, but like it gets easier to lose things. It obviously depends on the person and the career path and the situation, but it is a skill that you learn the older you get, at the same time, to kind of like prioritize yourself and realize that it's not a personal thing, it's not a personal attack. At the end of the day, you'll grow from it, basically.
I agree.
That's what I'm trying to say. Breakups hurt so much. I think that's a good point to start with, is like, why does it hurt so much? At the end of the day, it just goes back to the fact that we cared so much about this person, and like the attachment was there, and the fear of the unknown is a big one, I think, for people who've been in relationships for a very long time. And it's just, you kind of like build a life with someone to an extent. And it's so interesting because I've been in long-term relationships where I've kind of lost myself completely and I had no idea who I was. So like moving out of that relationship is so scary because I don't know who I am.
I should reshape yourself almost.
Exactly, And also within that relationship, I almost just try to be who that person wanted me to be. And I think that completely made me lose myself. So when I left that relationship, which was very scary because I don't know who I was, the fear of the unknown was really big for me, because this has been like the last like 5 years of my life. How do you
move on from that?
Exactly, like you think you're going to marry this person. And so I think at the end of the day, it's just really important to stay true to who you are and what you want, even though it's really scary, and just realize that attachment is beautiful. And I think we should be really grateful for attachments, because obviously this person brought you so much joy. but it's not worth, if the pain is more than the joy, leave. Like the attachment's not worth it. The fear is not worth settling for less just because you are scared, or this career is like a safe, easy, comfortable space. Is moving on is scary in any way, shape and form, but it's worth not settling.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Miles and I speak about this often. We're in a very happy relationship, but it doesn't mean like all our friends are necessarily, always in happy relationships. And we have seen a lot of friends go through a lot of hard relationships and come out of it stronger. And we speak about this often. There's a saying or quote, something like, you accept the love you think you deserve. And I really, truly stand by that, because I really see that in a lot of people in my life. So not just Anal, but a lot of people.
Not just Anal.
Not just Anal.
That's so hard.
No, but a lot of people, and I think it's such a human thing, like we always fall back to, what do we think we deserve? You deserve so much.
Yeah.
And love is one of the things that you really shouldn't be settling for, in my opinion, because you deserve a happy life. You deserve a happy relationship. Like, no matter who you are, where you come from, you deserve that. And
Laura's just preaching to me at this point.
but truly, I feel very passionate about it. I remember before I met Franku, and when he came into my life, he was really good to me, and he is still very good to me. And at a point, like literally I told him, I'm like, I do not deserve you and what you give me, because I was at a very difficult stage in my life. And his answer was, no, you do. Anyway, that's very cute. Sweet.
Adorable.
But when he said that to me, I'm like, okay, but maybe I do. Like, maybe I do deserve that. And you do. That's the simple answer.
Yeah. I think dating in 2025 is a very ugly place to be.
It is truly a scary place. No,
it's a very scary
I've told you before, I'm so grateful to be out of it.
I just feel like we are in a very ugly space in society. We don't like ourselves. We will never think that we're good enough, and we will never think that we deserve good things at the end of the day. Why? Because of trauma. And every generation is just like gifting this trauma to the 100%. Next generation, if that makes sense.
People like on social media and in our lives, either rushing a love process or setting standards that are way lower than they should be, or whatever. Like, there's a bunch of stuff playing into it that mentally you're like, oh, okay, but maybe love isn't meant to feel this way, or maybe, I should be settling for this. But anyway, went on tangent there.
Yeah, sorry. Went off script
there. No, but I actually think like walking away from someone, especially for someone like me who's a planner, like I plan, you kind of like see your life in front of you.
Yeah.
And it's difficult just accepting that picture was relevant and was exciting for a time, but it's not my forever. It's difficult. It's difficult so breaking down that image you had. And career-wise as well, that was super tough for me. Like, I had a very clear vision of where I was going, and stopping it and realizing that picture needed to change for where I wanted to end up and what I wanted to do with my life.
Yeah, even me, as I romanticized my career so wildly since the age of like 12, I was so excited.
Exactly.
I was going to work in corporate forever, and I was going to achieve this, and I was going to have this, and I was going to go on these business trips. I can still do all those things, but it's not the vision that I romanticized in my head. And because I realized that I over-romanticized it, and it's just not what I want. But I grieved that like loss for such a long time, because that's exactly what my 5-year plan and my 10-year plan and my 15-year plan and everything was set out perfectly. And then I just decided, no,
never mind.
Never mind.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
I think grieving is a very important part of that process, though. Yeah. And when we were planning this episode, speaking about the difference between like grieving and being like just feeling the emotions and being sad about the picture you lost or the person you lost or whatever, and then wallowing, which we would describe as
just feeling so sorry for yourself
and like stuck,
but keeping yourself in that black hole. And I think that's the difference for me between grieving and wallowing. Is I'm not saying don't feel the emotions, I'm not saying don't process them and be sad and cry for weeks at a time. That is fine. But don't wallow and keep yourself in this black hole and not allow yourself to experience any joy, and just like stay stuck because you are holding on to pain that the pain is almost trying to let go of you, and you're like, no, you stay here. I think it's just so important to just not hold on. Like, don't overstay your welcome type of thing, if that makes sense. And I understand that's easier said than done, but you kind of have to get to a point where you have to say, okay, you know what, I'm ready.
I'm going to start moving on.
We're going to start moving on, or I'm going to start investing in myself more, investing time in myself, prioritizing myself, doing things that make me really happy, instead of just sitting here and like crying about a human or a career or a whatever it may be. Is almost just like, I know it's easier said than done, but just do something about it. Once again, I'm not saying do that immediately. And like going into the next point is, don't suppress your emotions. Like, feel them. If you're going to suppress them, you're going to feel them for so much longer, and it's going to be a little bit, but you're going to process something, for example, over like 10 months instead of 2 months because you refuse to feel the emotions, and it's going to stick with you, and it's going to cause so much stress and so much pain and whatever. Is rather just feel it.
And don't get us wrong, we both have definitely wallowed in relationships after breakups.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
But we have in return learned the hard way.
Exactly.
You kind of like limit yourself for that time. You choose to stay there.
And I don't think necessarily it's like a horrible thing to wallow, as I think we all need to go through those phases to also realize, you know what, I'm giving my joy away at this point in time. I'm holding on to the pain, and I don't want to let go of the pain. Like at some point I need to move on type of thing. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think you learn a lot from it, but it does cause a lot of unnecessary pain at the same time. But I do think it's almost like a natural progression where in certain situations and certain like heartbreaks or breakups, you have to feel that to figure out like, okay, next time I'm not doing that.
The change course, change route. Yeah,
exactly. And also you have to figure out what makes you happy and how to get back on your feet and how to get like hit the ground running again type of thing.
That, yeah.
So maybe it is something that everyone needs to experience, but if you can
skip that step,
if we can help you skip that step, highly recommend. Highly recommend. Rather just actually start investing in yourself from day one. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but just cry, just like feel the emotions, just like process them, go through them, go like directly through them. Don't try and go around them.
Seek friends who can help you talk through it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think in that like space of grieving something that was or failure, you need to treat yourself like a friend and not beat yourself up. Which if you think of a friend, like if I talk to her now after, let's say she just went through a heartbreak, and I talk to her, like I speak life into her, I remind of the positive things. Like I'm not speaking like you were such a horrible girlfriend, you were this, you were that, like, you know, negatively. Sure, there might be constructive criticism where you're like, you know, you guys didn't mix well, you didn't communicate well, whatever. Okay, there's constructive stuff, but it's not like I'm speaking death over you. Like I'm speaking life and being there for you, comforting you, supporting you. Where when you beat yourself up, I feel like mentally for yourself, you can be really horrible to yourself. You can be like, I didn't show up then, I didn't do this, I could have done this more, I could have done this better. And even career-wise, I remember doing this with myself, being like, and even now, like there's a lot of things that you kind of like, oh, you could have done this better, you should have done this, you should have done that. Where if you treat yourself like a friend, just think, how would someone who loves me speak to me and support me through this? What would they say? How would they phrase things, you know? Just, it might be a better way to work through it.
And I think not just think about how like you would treat a friend or a friend would treat you, but treat yourself that way.
Yeah, exactly.
I've basically started doing that once like I go through anything, is I would treat myself like a friend, and I would have that grace with myself, and I would try and like have that compassion and that love for myself. And it's interesting, you're basically like trying to heal something that someone else broke, if that makes sense. But I think there's so much beauty in that as well, is because at the end of the day, you will always have you, and so you need to know how to be there for yourself. Treat yourself like you are your friend. Like have grace, be there for yourself, listen to your body, feel the feelings that you need to feel. Don't stay stuck in them. We've all had that friend or like sister or whatever it may be that kind of just like stays in bed for a very long time, and then one day you're like, no, time to get up. And like be that for yourself, because like, you know when you need to be pulled out of bed. You know when you need to look after yourself. You know when to like go to bed and cry type of thing. Like just listen to your body and show up for yourself, because I think
I agree.
you're going to need that so many times throughout your life. And showing up for yourself, in my opinion, is also a skill. 100%. It's a thing about you trust yourself. Showing up for myself, I'm building that trust within myself. I'm trying to be there for myself. You have to, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And life is hard. You're going to have to be there for yourself a million times.
Figure it out. Yeah. No, I agree with you.
And then a very important point for me is to like break off toxic cycles and stop running back to things that have hurt you in the past. It's like
especially relationships.
It's like the Bible verse that says like a dog running back to its vomit. Like, and that every time I want to go back to someone, I'm like, no,
we don't go back to vomit.
I'm not a dog and I'm not running back to vomit. Like, it's just not happening.
That is so funny.
I just feel like it's a very good description, and it also is absolutely disgusting. So then I'm like, nah, that's not, I'm not, nope.
No.
But we need it, and I'm saying we because I am included in this, is not run back to the things that have hurt us, not run back to the people that have hurt us, not run back to the people who have shown us over and over and over again that they can't show up for us.
And again, both of us have done it.
Yes.
And learned the hard way.
And yeah, I think that's the thing, is like you kind of need to learn the hard way through those things as well.
Because you convince yourself as well. Like I remember very clearly, like the moment I convinced myself, no, it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad. Yeah. You have so much love for this person.
Yeah.
I think that's at the end of the day is that like wholesome love, like that wholesome love, that like pure, innocent love.
Yeah.
It is so easy to forgive in those moments because you have so much love for this person, you genuinely care about them, and you'll make so many excuses for this person.
Regardless of what other people say or opinions. No,
shame, I really put Lori through that most, through all my relationships.
That's really okay. But I think it really is one of those things, like you need to figure it out for yourself. And I learned that very early on, actually with you, but then it came in handy with a lot of other friends. The thing is, like, it doesn't make me love you less, you know, me not agreeing with the relationship or thinking you deserve better. It doesn't make me love you less. Yeah. Like, I'm always there for you, but I'm allowed to have my opinions and like kind of tell you, like, sir,
100%.
You should. And with my sister, for example, literally all her boyfriends, I was like that. I was like, love you lots, don't like him. Don't think it's good for you. Love you a lot still. Here for you always. And she's now found someone who I can truly say I'm very happy for her with.
Yeah, see, I did the same with my sister. Genuinely, like, I am so grateful for friendships like Lori, for example, who I was in a relationship for a very long time and she did not agree with anything. But she always told me, I don't agree. This is my opinion. But I will support you through any like decision you make, type of thing. If you want to stay, stay. If you don't, don't. I will be here either way. And I was so grateful for that, to have that safe space. Yeah. Because I've also had friends that, and I'm sorry, I know I'm going off topic now, but I've had friends that said like, you are complaining about this person or this relationship. I'll give you until like next week Tuesday that you're allowed to complain about them, and then I'm not listening anymore.
That's so tough, eh?
And I understand it's painful to like listen through all that pain and whatever, but
the thing is, like, tough love, sure, tough love can work, but I can promise you that 90% of the time, that's why I chose that approach with you and I choose that approach with other people, because 90% of the time you need someone who's going to stick with you, give you the truth, but stick with you regardless. Because the last thing you need is someone who's turning against you.
Again. Like, your partner's already turning against you.
Exactly. So you need someone who's kind of like, I'm here no matter what. Like, if you choose him, fine. But
please don't.
I'm still here and I'll show up for you and I'll be here for you. Yeah. And then if the relationship does end, then at least they know there's a safe space to come back to be supported. Like, that's what you want. You don't want them having to choose a toxic relationship, a toxic workplace, because they have nowhere else to be safe.
Yeah.
And like to fall back to.
That's so true. That's very true. So basically the point that I'm coming, like what I'm trying to say is let's stop running back to toxic situations, toxic people. It's people that have shown us over and over and over again that they can't be what you want them to be or that you need them to be.
Yes.
Why do we keep running back to it? We keep running back because it's safe. We keep running back because there is still joy in that. I'm not saying you lose everything. I've been in relationships where I've been so happy. Like I've been the happiest version of myself ever. But still the bad still outweighs the good.
Yeah.
And so we keep running back because we're chasing that joy and we're chasing that potential.
That's I was about to say. Potential is a big thing.
Yeah.
We feel like we can see this person in the potential.
Exactly.
We can see the potential of a relationship.
Basically, let's stop running back to people that have shown us repeatedly that
And aren't worth.
they're not good for us. It's not worth it. And then when someone tells you who they are or shows you who they are, believe them the first time. I'm actually just preaching to myself here, but yeah. So this happened, right? You just broke up, or you just left your job, or you just lost someone, or whatever it may be. I think we tend, or no, I don't think, I know we tend to go into the space of this is the end of my world. Like such a dark place where it's like I don't want to move forward. I don't like. Please just let me not wake up tomorrow morning type of thing, right? And I get it. It is so painful. And this thing or this person or this job that you cared about so much is now gone.
Yeah.
Okay. But think back to like the first time you lost anything. You were like 10 or 15 or whatever it may be. And you went through that first thing that felt like
horrible.
Your world was done, like your world was ending, and then like compare that to who you are today, and it's like, oh, that's bizarre.
I'm actually fine.
Yeah, everything is going to be fine, and I think it gets so much easier in that sense as well. And that's what, like, going back to like letting go is a skill because we learn how to deal with it. It's so interesting to me when you look at it that way. It's like every single time you've gone through something that felt like it was the end of your world, you got through it, and like, look at where you are today, like look at you now type of thing. And it's a good reminder throughout those seasons and throughout those like really painful moments to be like, you know what, I am going to be fine and everything is going to be okay. Exactly. And let me feel my emotions now and process it so that I can get back to being okay in the future type of thing. And I think like we tend to just hold on so wildly that it becomes just, it's really hard. It is really hard. But it's also about like detaching from that person or that job or
and the whole idea of that life.
The whole idea, the potential and the plans.
The other thing I was thinking about is losing friends that was like part of that relationship. That's so very hard reality. Because sometimes you do lose friends, sometimes you don't. But that could be a hard thing also.
I think even just like friend breakups it's the same thing, is being in a relationship, losing a best friend, and being in a friendship, losing a best friend.
Yes.
It's painful. It's painful either way. We tend to date our best friends. Like, why are you together if you're not friends? Type of thing, right? Because you have fun with those people.
Of course, yeah.
So every time this happens, you're losing a best friend, and it's flippin' painful. While I was prepping for this episode, I went back to like journal entries from when like I experienced heartbreak. It was so interesting to me to like look back at, fair enough, the pain that I experienced and how far I've come, but also about how grateful I was in those moments. And I think it was also like a cool reminder to think back to when I was going through those things, is I remember feeling so grateful that I have something that is so hard to let go of, that I have been crying for like 2 weeks, for example, right? Because I went through this experience like a few months ago, and it was so painful, and I cried for like 2 weeks straight. But I remember just being so grateful that I had this person in my life that made me so happy, that made me laugh so much, that I had so much fun with, and I genuinely loved so much. To lose them is horrible, but it doesn't take away from the fact that I'm grateful that they were there and I experienced so much joy with them. And it's also like taking that and being like that, or like certain characteristics of that person is something that I deeply once in like my husband one day.
Yeah.
And so you learn through all these experiences.
100%.
And I think we just tend to hate so much on firstly the moment and the person and the situation. But at the end of the day, I think we should be so grateful for the fact that it is so painful, because there was so much love at the end of the day.
And I think that's where we can like change the narrative and say, first of all, meeting people like that who aren't your forever, but they just heal a part of you, like heal a part of your heart or expectations that have been failed in the past or whatever, like just kind of like heal you to a certain extent. You need those people to heal those parts to make you ready for the person you're going to spend your life with.
Yeah.
And I really saw that with when I met Franku. Both of us went through a few painful things with other people that shaped us to be able to support each other in certain aspects, and like changed us and changed our perspective. Even things I thought I wanted in a husband, and dated someone with those characteristics and was like, oh, actually maybe not. And then meeting Franku, it's like, oh, he doesn't have that, and that's good. I don't want that because I realized I don't want that, whatever. So kind of it does shape you to fit into a person's picture and the life you're going to build with someone one day.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I thought about it yesterday while preparing for this episode. Is very interesting how the relationships and the friendships that hurt the most when they end is because that person changed your life or your perspective or the way that you are a part of you. Exactly. And I know the people that, or the relationships that I've mourned the most were the people that changed the way that I saw myself, changed the way that I spoke to myself, changed the way that I see the world, changed the way that like I think about certain things. That is so beautiful. Like, we should be grateful for those experiences. That's just so cool. And that's why it hurts so much.
Yeah.
I do still believe like the pain is almost worth the joy that you experienced. And the perspective change and what you learned from that space. And then just like a few things that I know helped me get through those spaces, or like setbacks or heartbreak or whatever, is firstly journaling. It's a big one for me. And it's so funny because I never really journal except if I'm like really mad. Like so angry, because like I'll journal for myself and like for personal growth or whatever, but when it's about a person, it's only because I'm really angry. And I'm so basically I'm like writing a letter that I'm never going to give you, just to like get everything out. Highly recommend. It's very therapeutic. And then just doing things that really brings so much joy, or like starting a new hobby or learning something new. For me, that's usually like painting. I absolutely love painting to just like
clear my mind,
get my emotions out on a page, whatever it may be. It's never perfect and it's never the goal for it to be perfect. It's literally just like your form of therapy. It's like a form of therapy. But get out, try and be social, like, hang out with your friends. Don't isolate yourself. It's never a good idea. Go to therapy. Like, there's so many different options.
So many options. I think we were speaking about this yesterday, but like writing later on that note, it almost gives you closure. Like, I've got everything out there. And sometimes you need to actually speak to the person and tell them, listen, like, this is how I feel, whatever, okay, point for point. And that can be healing. But if you don't have that opportunity, or that's not going to be good for you, because I think a lot of times it isn't good for you to
like open the door again.
Exactly. To open your heart again. Just writing a letter, or I've typed like a message on my phone and never sent it, deleted it. But the feeling of like,
I wouldn't even do it on my phone, because that just gives me it would give me the like.
But it was just kind of like, you get everything for your chest. You tell them exactly how you feel, even if they don't know that. And again, I don't think always telling them how you feel is the best thing, because it also gives some people the opportunity to explain or like justify those actions,
to manipulate you again.
You don't want that. And that goes into like, when you're healing and growing, be careful to fall back into routines, like fall back into patterns that were toxic and were horrible. And you mentioned that the other day. And even if you need to, literally keep a list of like red flags of stuff you don't need in a workspace, in people in your life, whatever. And when you meet someone, you can kind of go through it and be like, how many are you ticking off of this?
I have that mental list, right?
And you should.
But it's also like, it's hard when, like, let's say you miss someone, for example. your brain is literally wired to remember the good things.
100.
I've had moments where I've wanted to like break no contact, for example, because I miss like very specific things about this person. Yeah, it just makes sense. Like, why are we not in each other's lives? This doesn't make any sense. And then I had to like remind myself of the red flags. I had to remind myself of the things that the person did to me. And then I'm like, oh, now I remember. That makes sense now. Let's not break no contact type of thing.
And the other thing is, I think just remembering no person is perfect, okay? But there are some key stuff that you're allowed to have very high standard on, like your morals, on. Anyway, you can have a whole list. I had a whole list of stuff, but there's certain like key things which I knew, like I'm not going to settle for anything less than these like key aspects. And I was lucky I found that. Again, I'm not perfect. No one in this world's going to be perfect. But I think there's a few key things that you can really. I think to wrap this up, the lessons we both have learned through our personal experiences and now finding someone I love and share my life with. Firstly, you deserve a lot of good love. Okay, you do not have to settle. There is someone there out there for you, someone who treats you well, someone you can build a life with.
No, you're just speaking to me right now.
Joking. And I think the last thing I really did learn is life is really tough. You're going to go through very, very tough times. The last thing you should be worrying about is who you're going home to and that safe person, even if it means like you have to go home to yourself for a long time, rather that. Because life is super tough, and no matter how glamorous everyone's life looks, there's a lot going on, and there will always be a lot going on. The world is imperfect, shit happens. So yeah, that would be my final advice.
I love that. I hope like this added a little bit of value for anyone. I feel like we did ramble a lot. Just know that you are never alone, and everything is going to be okay, and it's not the end of the world. Even though it is really painful, you're going to be okay.
Difficult, yeah.
And then I just want to wrap up with 1 or 2 questions every now and then. Just check in with ourselves to be like, are we actually processing certain things, or are we just like suppressing them? And if there is something that you're suppressing, is like, how can you prioritize dealing with that? How can you prioritize like taking care of that and being there for yourself? And then we have the very exciting small business of the week.
So we said for the season we want to kind of like honor women-owned small businesses.
If you are a small business, or if you know of a small business that you think aligns with Running with Scissors and like our values, we would love for you to send those through. We would love to feature some small brands. Let's jump into the first small business of the week, which I'm very excited about. The business is called Garden Gains.
Garden Gains.
I actually have some of their clothes. They are an activewear brand. Her story for me, or like the brand story, is so
behind it.
Yeah, the heart behind Garden Gains is so beautiful to me, because it's about starting conversations, bringing awareness to obviously the Lord. And if you already have a relationship with him, that's amazing, but it's like opening up to a new level and a new level of intimacy with him, but also just starting a conversation for those who don't have a relationship with the Lord yet. I love their clothes. I have 2 of their shirts, amazing quality.
That's fantastic.
I just love the idea behind the brand.
And the message. And
yeah, definitely. So we will definitely do a cute little featured post about them. If you would like to support, I would highly recommend. They also have Workout Wednesdays. And so slowly but surely, they're starting to build like their community around fitness and the Lord and everything, which I think is beautiful.
So cool. I'll definitely go support them.
Thank you so much for joining in. Let us know if you have any small business that you want to feature or that you want us to feature.
Maybe you are a small business and you want to be featured. Reach out.
Exactly. So we also want to start building a community of small businesses and creatives so that we can all support each other and grow together.
Have the best day.
Have the best week. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.